I met a gypsy.
To it.
There's
and so what about one thing, I'm just trying to like bring all of this back to like my own question, own questions of like what I'm going through with it. What do you think about like trigger point therapy? Because that's probably something that I'd say I probably balance my time like 50-50. Like some nights I don't really stretch, but I'll spend like 2 hours of like doing release sort of stuff. Because I feel like if I'm trying to stretch a muscle that has a knot in it, it's like stretching a bit of rope that has a knot in it.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to tighten the knot, essentially. You're not really going to lengthen the rope. So, I mean, I can know, like if I did 20 minutes of hamstring release and then went and did this, I'd have like this crazy, like probably 15% better mobility.
Yeah.
But then to do that every time, and then it's like, I don't know, I sort of don't really know. I definitely feel like a lot of relief that comes from trigger point stuff, and when I do it, I'm doing so like a psoas, for example. Like I got like a pso, right?
Oh, they're
gnarly. Like every I don't know. I did one the other night where I probably spent 25 minutes on one spot, and you literally just feel it, like it's excruciating, and you just feel it like slowly let go over time, and like you feel like you're changing your anatomy. Like it's a pretty insane difference, because I know like we spend a lot of time sitting down editing, so you're in like that contracted mode when you're sitting down, I guess. And so it like I go after, a couple of weeks, it just gets really tired. I start getting a lot of back pain. I start to feel like kind of spasmy and like in my ab area. So yeah, I mean, I feel like in my head, I'm like, all right, so is this process that I'm doing? Because it feels like if you just release it and then go back to normal life, it's just going to go back to the way that it was. It feels like it's a maintenance thing, not like, or like treating the symptoms but not curing it. So now it's almost like, okay, I've got to do this, and this is like a good thing to keep doing, but then you need to strengthen and stretch to try and like almost try and prevent it from going back to the way that it was. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes
in my head, that's
sense.
kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's really well said. Like, for like any decent physio would probably say a similar thing, where it's like, but one thing that's a bit controversial in the physio world at the moment, particularly the ones of us that really like to back up what we're doing with science, is that like foam rolling and a lot of those trigger point things, muscles never really have knots in the way that we thought, because it's more of that mechanical way of thinking of the body. There's like even the existence of trigger points is debated, like, the existence of, I don't know, or the exact mathematics of like the event horizon on a black hole. Like physicists just yelling at each other going, this is that. Physios do the same thing. And so it's like, does it exist? We don't even know. Can you prove it? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you putting a needle in it? I don't know. Like, what's actually happening? Still, we don't really know if you're really skeptical. So long story short, what I reckon is that the time opportunity cost for that sort of stuff, it really helps. I've done it in the past. And depending on the limitations of someone, so let's say you're coming back after that hectic degloving injury you had, maybe that's all you can do. So fine, cool, no worries. But at a certain point, there's more bang for buck stuff. Like there's better ways to invest your time into your body, because what I've found is I haven't touched a trigger point ball in years. I haven't touched a foam roll. The only time I use a foam roll is to roll up my upper back so that I can get better range of motion before I do like up dogs in yoga. Or I use a yoga wheel. I never roll out my thighs, because I learnt a couple of years ago from a great Canadian old lady, like she's in her 70s now, Diane Jacobs. It's all about the nervous system, and the nervous system is as complex as the known universe, the amount of neurons in our brain and central nervous system. So we're working with something really complex. Sometimes I'll massage people and they come out and they like feel amazing. Sometimes they feel worse. It is super unpredictable. So what I've found is the bang for buck proven stuff for improving range of motion is stretching, weighted full range of motion strength work, like full range deadlifts, like Jefferson curls, single leg deadlifts, like Bulgarian split squats would be a great one for you with your hip flexors.
Can you pull one of them up? Bulgarian split squat.
I love that exercise. It's like, if I nearly give it to everyone. much to their delight.
Yeah.
So something like that might be more useful long term for your hip flexor range and your psoas tightness than like the so right. Not to say the so right's not evil.
Yeah.
It helps, but it's like for your time. And then we talk about it like the basement, your floor, and your ceiling. The basement is sort of where your body's used, like where you can go down to.
This cunt is an axe, bro.
Yeah, he's shredded.
Fucking thick.
Solid. It's a good Bulgarian split squat. So you can go real close. And then like after that, you could do, actually, I'll give you a laugh. Can you go to Instagram? There's one dude who you'll love because he like shows all of this loaded flexibility stuff. Joachch, that's him. Joachim Hilderson, the crazy Dutchman. So he does weighted flexibility work.
I already follow this dude.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, he's a fucking animal, man.
He is hectic. He's an example of like what happens when you use efficient bang for buck stuff because you keep that flexibility.
Oh, look at that ankle shit there.
Yeah, the stuff he does, I'm like, oh man.
Go up one round. Look at that.
So
that is gnarly. Oh, so man. I'm super tight. So the thing that got me...
That's high level.
Yeah, that's fucking...
Don't do that, everyone.
Yeah. That's the thing that... God, jiu-jitsu is the thing that got me into flexibility because I realized... So... There'd be like you'd see the black belts, right? And they're just so supple. Like all of them.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much all of them. Like even my professor, he's like 120 kilo Brazilian dude. He's fucking massive. He's like 6'4". And he just sits like that. You know, like, so he'll be giving it the instructions in class and he's just comfortably sitting completely on his heels. Like there's just no mobility issue there at all. And then I'm like sitting up and like real janky and fucked and my heel won't touch my ass and I'm like, wow, like I'm really, really bad at this. And then I couldn't do a squat at all, like just to sit down and do like a Slavic squat or like an Asian squat. Couldn't do that. Like there was so many limitations that I found in my body. And then I realized like, oh, this actually isn't normal. I thought it was normal. You get older, you get less flexible, that's how your body works. No, it's just like this process of degeneration and you like haven't done anything to like stop it or like reverse it, you know. So I've got to the point now where I can do a squat, I have my hands flat on the floor in like a pike and
nice.
And I still have pain doing this though. Similar experience, this particular position, like kneeling or Caesar or like there's heaps of names for it. Like the knee, end range knee flexion, depending on what your knees are used to, because ultimately it's the nervous system, but then also partially your joint tissues it's like what they're used to. Like the strain of being on a bike and your grip strength that you guys have, like that's next level. You've built that up over years. Your body's like, there's going to be something, like there's a payoff to that, eh?
Exactly, yeah. So it's like we all adapt specifically, like trees to the wind, you know, they bend and curve not to say that we can't, because like you look at Rogan, like Joe Rogan, he's like in his 50s and the dude can do a middle split better than I can. I've been working on it for like 3 years straight.
That's my worst thing of flexibility is a middle split.
Same. It's
fucking hectic.
A bastard of a position. But stuff works, and all of this active stuff works because it talks to the tissue. It sort of asks more of it. It's like, you know, when you got like...
It's like overloading it in a way.
Yeah, and you get that adaptation because the body, like us, is lazy and there are limited resources. That free energy principle is kind of behind that, where there's limited resources. So we've got to pick the stuff that matters. And the body doesn't really think anything matters until you push. And that's like, oh, fine, okay, I'll adapt. Like, you're going for all these runs. Gosh, I better like change the cardiovascular function. Or with this, I better like change the knee like cartilage and connective tissue so that it can allow this position, et cetera, et cetera. And so you've got to ask of it. But there's, you know, it's easy to overload. It's easy to underload. So the Goldilocks zone is the big mystery. But it's accessible and like you just got to figure out your own way. But I definitely lean towards the side of more active stuff because you reduce the need for, like, I know power lifters that just don't touch a foam roller, don't touch a trigger point ball, not because it's not evil, but because it's just like they can use that time for other stuff if they want to, like to read a book, to run a podcast, or whatever.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.